Hi Dave, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Peter, and yourself.
Yes, all good, thanks. Dave, welcome to the Business Spotlight. Thanks very much for taking the time to chat with me today. Could we start? Could you tell me a little about your background and your business, please?
Yeah, so my name's Dave Linton, and I'm a dad of two girls, married to Judith, and I run and started an organization called Madlug, which stands for Make a Difference Luggage. Before that, I was a youth worker for 22 years, and so I'm a late adopter into the business world.
Very good. So, in terms of make a difference, so tell me a little about that. So, make a difference luggage. Come on, you can't leave me hanging on that. What does that mean?
Basically, what it means is for me, 2015, I was attending a fostering course. My wife and I had done previously done some fostering. We're adoptive parents, and we were looking at fostering more. And I came across a story of a young girl who made a statement that whenever they moved from home to home, their belongings were moved in black plastic bin bags, and they lost their dignity. And my kind of response to that was that should be an easy fix. Let's fix it. And so that led me on to this journey. And so Madlug basically is the response to that journey. The making a difference is how do we give bags to kids in care so the bin bags aren't used. So the making a difference. And the lug is luggage. And so really the response to that is a bag company. Every time we sell a brand of bags, Madlug, we give a bag to a child or young person in care for free. So we're not just making a difference, but we're empowering our customers, those who carry our bags or wear our bags, to make a difference.
Very good. And how many, so this started, did you say 2015 did it pick up there, Dave? Was that when it started or?
Yeah, 2015. So the idea came, the heartbreak came in 2014. Did the normal channel of, talk to people, unpack the idea, journal the idea, and then launched the or registered the community interest company in 2015.
And how did you get on with the transition from social work and that line of vocation and career into the world of business?
Yeah, so I wasn't a social worker, I was a youth worker. So I worked
Oh, beg your
as
pardon.
a youth worker, but the transition for me wasn't much different than what I'm doing now. The difference is I still get out of bed every day to help people. I'm still motivated to help. I'm not one of these people who's motivated to just make money for the sake of money. But the money has purpose now, and so that motivates. So transition is it's still the same aim. Of being a youth worker, I was believing in young people, helping young people. As a youth worker, my drive was young people at the very edge. I loved the underdog, the challenging young people that some people would say challenging, and I found them fun. Maybe because I get down to that level as well. And so that part for me was really, really easy because it's the same drive today. Children, young people are the underdogs. They are lost in a society often. The only professionals see them, and they don't know if their value and worth and how incredible they are. The business then move was, I think, in my youth work world, I loved and was hungry at learning what leadership was. So I was always somebody who did leadership programs. I was always somebody who, went through another personality test and geeked out on you know, wow, that's why I do what I do, and that's why that person does, and try to always accommodate that in decision making. And it made me really aware of being a visionary and stuff. So in my youth work world, I was always creating new ideas. I was always pushing the people around me to outside the box thinking and calling them to something that was greater and bigger than they were experiencing then. So that was kind of how I did youth work. I'm also dyslexic, so for me the idea of the traditional route of youth work, which was funding and reporting and all of that stuff, I absolutely hated it. I couldn't do it very well. Was never successful at it because I just wasn't patient enough, focused enough to do it, and to go through with that. So that led me then in the youth work world of being innovative. it taught me how to find money from places that money couldn't be normally found. Think about how to do something on smaller and lower budgets, which is kind of business. You know, how do you keep your overheads down and your profit large, and how to maximize having little to maximize doing lots. And so that was my youth work world. So when now I'm in business, it was like, okay, I don't have money to start a business. I don't have investors behind this. I have no background in this. All that fueled the innovation that was required to bring Dave, who had been studying Dave for all these years as a youth work, but leadership within that, and then landing at the place. And so really what is, I haven't done anything else. I've just grown up in many ways into a new area that, and the responsibilities are greater in many ways because you're managing cash flows and stuff that you never had to do before.
So the more people that become customers of Madlug and the more people that benefit from it, well, it's such an engaging story. How do you spread that story around in the UK or the world?
You have to spread the message by it being genuine. So I think the thing for me, it's that again in the youth work world and the business world, is that actually if your perspective and focus and position is all about the person, in the business world it's about the customer, it's about the end user of a bag, it's about the kid in care who gets our bags. So
Mm.
it's people, people, people. And the money is a byproduct, and money follows to do that because you sell a product. But if you get that right, and then it's about having this authentic, genuine, bringing when you're confident as a leader in who you are, and when you realize the things you do well and things you don't do well, and you're not building, you're not working out of a place of insecurity. You're placing a place of knowledge, a place of confidence in what you bring to it, which then you means I bring Dave. And so how I've brought Dave to that is as the person who's known, who cares, and the person 10 years on who has met some incredible people and done amazing things and got recognized, still would talk to the same people the same way, treat people. That is attractive when you're secure. And whenever you're attracted, people are then attracted to that, and you're clear on what you're about, and it's not changing, or you're not, I call it waffling. You're not waiting until somebody gets a wee connection to your story and you're making it sound better. You're just real. It's consistent. You bring all that in, people then become the heroes of the story that you sell the bags to. So you're not just saying, feed me, I want to be this hero. What you're saying is customers that buy our bags, people who have supported this work, they are the heroes. And actually they become the greatest tool to then share the story because it's that kind of evangelist approach. And so making your story simple, but making it to keep it simple means you don't confuse, you don't change it, you just get real, and you operate from a place of people sharing it. So they catch it, and it's shared on. That's how I've done it, with very little budget.
And what would you say has been your biggest lesson as a business owner?
My biggest lesson that I've learned, and this sounds maybe terrible when I'm so people focused, is I've had to learn being in a youth work world, being in a charity world, that that I've had to move from being a nice person to a good person. That's been my biggest challenge in leadership. And it sounds terrible because we all want to be nice, and of course I want to be. People say, oh, it's Dave, he's nice. People I manage, the things I do, but you have to make decisions that are the right decision to do. That's the good thing, and good isn't always popular. So when you've been in a people engaged career, then
Yeah.
then it's really hard to take that into business. So for me, the biggest learning is taking that, um, just being popular, just being nice, just being liked, and being soft, to having
Mhm.
to do the right thing and make decisions that sometimes aren't popular, but you know that it's a good thing to do, it's the right thing to do. And that's been my biggest learning.
Yeah, it's such a great share. And for anybody listening to this, please, please just take that on board. I've seen so many people being promoted to manager or supervisory positions, and they go in with they want to be everybody's pal at the start, and that's the wrong way to go in at it. So yeah, what a great share. I've never heard it described that way, the difference between nice and good. So I've got that one. I've parked that one. I'll use that again. What about what have you learned about yourself along the way?
What I've learned is that I'm a creative. I'm somebody who is innovative and a go-getter, and I love projects and I love fixing problems. What I'm not good at is managing the fix to the problem. And so that for me is the thing. The reality is when you do business or when you lead anything, there's periods of growth that you will be pulled out of your comfort zone. So yeah, I read all the stuff, like all the stuff about, work in your sweet spot and do, smaller percentage of the 80/20 rule. Sometimes you're working 80% out of your comfortable area because the growth has either happened at a pace that you can't recruit and you can't bring people on, or you have some issues and stuff like that around that you have to step in and become very operational. So I've grown, I've learned all that stuff. But what I've learned is I would never apply for an operational job in any organization. Is that I'm a problem solver and then get people around to do the managing of the solutions.
And who's been your biggest influence along the way?
I'm going to be, and sounds a little bit cheesy and stuff, but my biggest influence is that's totally shaped who I am, what I do, is my mum. My dad died when I was 5 years of age. So what gives me a real attraction to the underdog in the care system is I lived on the edge of that. My mum, grew up in poverty. There was just a sense and but I had a really good life and support. Reason being was because there was significant adults around. And and I saw my mum when my dad died in those days. She didn't have a job, she didn't drive. It was the one person work household type generation. And I saw her learn how to drive, and I saw her, once then going and doing home helps for cleaning people's homes and doing all that sort of stuff. And somebody one day turned around to her and said, um, here, you're worth more than this. Somebody should work for, and give her a job advert for an auxiliary nurse role in a hospital. And she applied and she got it. And then to see her retire when she was a founding member of Unison for one of the trusts in Northern Ireland, and how she was seconded and she was flying to London and doing meetings and fighting on behalf of those who were in need. And I'm not saying I'm a huge union fan, but what I saw was a heart, a real heart of just fighting for the underdog, supporting those who need it. I came home from my work at times and before I was married, and there would have been people sitting at the table who were, my mom had fought for them to have their jobs because they were alcoholics who should have gone. And she thought, well, if I'm going to fight for them, I'm going to fight them home and try and create a bit of distraction and give them friendships and stuff like that, and continually picking people up and helping them, and that modeled something of that my mom could have played the victim role in her world because it was really tough. But
Hmm.
actually, she spent her life not just doing a job, coming home, putting food on the table for us, but she then went over and beyond that. And I think for me, when I reflect, she passed away in during COVID. But for me, the whole thing was that modeling is something. And she was my biggest fan when she was alive, but she was also my biggest influence. And she probably never really understood that because she was just mum. But I could give you people I look to, people I read, but actually, we are who's around us, and we influence the people we are around. And certainly, I'd have my mum over any leadership book I'd have read.
Very, so sounds like quite a lady.
She was just the most caring person, and never sought praise on anything, but just got on and just just was good, and yeah, amazing.
And what gets you out of bed in the morning with a spring in your step and drives your passion for Madlug?
It's well, it's for me, it's children, young people on the edge. You know that I just want to grow. It's I'm driven for the giving of bags. I'm driven for that. But my biggest drive is I want to see a vehicle that Madlug becomes such an established brand that it speaks nothing else but children, young people are there. We see you, we know you, believe in you, we love you. You're
Hmm.
incredible. I want to shout out. I want to be the biggest promoting tool because if our brands that we buy and wear, we're shouting about an issue, we know how powerful that is. So for me, it's like growing a brand that's powerful and just is the biggest champion to the world of children, young people, and care across the world. And we're seeing that happen in a small way in the UK. But the potential is huge.
And what about if in the unlikely event you were stranded on a desert island and could access either a book or a podcast or both? What would you read or listen to?
So I, I would have a podcast over a book, um, in the sense of because I'm a dyslexia is the books, but I also like audiobooks. So I'm probably more a fan of audiobooks these days than even podcasts. And that generally happens because I see a book and I like the cover of it. It's on leadership or somebody's recommended. I get about 2 or 3 pages into it and I like it, and then I'm too busy to read it. So then I'll listen to it in the car and then use the paper copy to go back and flick through and say, where's that quote that I liked? And
Yeah.
so I think the book industry's the positive side of audiobooks is that people buy both or use both, I think nowadays. It's for busy lives. If I'm not somebody who is into just listening to stuff for the sake of it. So I like anything that I've got a place to learn. So I wouldn't say there's one thing, Peter, that I'm that I'm kind of like a fanboy of, but I'm probably somebody who, if I'm thinking about marketing and thinking about strategy, stuff like that, I get, submersed the in podcasts and audiobooks around that stuff. And then I feel like I learn quite quick and then I'm on to something else and I'm moving. It's a bit like a project. It has to have it has to be a learning. And that's how it's my way of getting a university degree. It's just, pulling it in from everywhere.
Very good. And what about, tell me about the biggest challenge that you're currently facing in business?
The biggest challenge is growth and being an innovator and entrepreneur type is that, you know, building building team is for me been my biggest challenge. And I have a great people around me and it's not, but what I mean by that, it's not that you get bad people. What it is, things you're in for the long haul and you think you're doing really well, and then suddenly somebody moves or something happens, and then you're back to square one, and then you maybe don't get somebody as strong, and all that on the business stuff is definitely my biggest challenge.
And if you could invite any three people, alive or dead, to a dinner party, who would you invite?
Well, I definitely have my mum there, and I would have there's a good friend of mine who is a care experience leader. So a guy called Luke Rogers, and so I love spending time with Luke, and he's a guy who um now empowers care leavers to be care leaders and help them share their story and when not to share their story, but he's just got a brain and a mind um on the care system, and
Mhm.
but he also loves leadership. And so when we sit and have a meal, it's so I would have him. He would be one of the um and yeah, I have so many people actually I couldn't, but I meet people all the time, and I'm not I actually don't really one of my things is that I don't really get too excited about big names and stuff like that. I've kind of a policy actually that if a celebrity comes in, I never ask them for a photograph. I'd rather have them as a friend. So I've just got this broad connection. So it'd be unfair to give you three, but my mom and
Ah,
Luke would be
okay.
the people that I spoke.
Very good. We'll give you, as Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So there, we'll give you that one. What, what about,
Are you gonna sing it?
no, definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not.
It'll
Well,
go
and
viral, this podcast.
yeah, no, no, no. Would be put out of air, put off air.
Put it on
What about if
TikTok
you,
instead.
if, I know, keep working. It's not going to happen. It's not. Believe you me, if I could sing, I would sing. I'm just lacking one tiny thing, unfortunately, ability. So there you go. But if you could go back in time and give some advice out to your 18-year-old self, what would that be like? What would that sound like?
The advice that I would growing up in a single home, not having an education, I struggled probably with insecurity, which led me to thinking like if I had, if only, and I had all, but I was still Dave with all the ideas, still the heartbeat to make a change, but I didn't believe I could do it.
Hmm.
And and the difference now is that, you know, if don't let the I would take I'd probably try and get more confidence and take a step in doing it. There was a book I read just at the start of Madlug. Um, Part of the influence of the Madlug buy one give one type approach was a company called Tom's Shoes in America. The founder had bought had $5,000, came across kids didn't have shoes, decided if I spend $5,000, I'll I'll need to find another 5,000 for the next pairs of shoes, or I could create a business, a shoe company. So that's what he did, one for one. And he wrote it in a book, and he had a statement, and it's something like this. It's um don't let someday rob your dreams and take them to the grave. If it's so important to you, just do it, and your path will work itself out. And I look back when I was just starting Madlog and thought, I'm not going to let the someday rob this one. And I think if I was to look back at the 18-year-old, I would have that played in my ear. Don't let the someday, don't wait until you can have a bigger house. Don't wait till you can afford to, your kids are 3 and 8. Don't wait till you're married. Don't wait till you're all the someday, I'll get to there, but someday never. It just robs these dreams. And I think for me, that's where I would do. And also probably now the understanding of the power of the black bin bag story. And that is the story within the story. It's, you can't fix everything. We can't fix the care system, but I can certainly play on a pitch in a position of fixing bin bags within the care system. And that's because I've learned what the bin bag story is, the story within the story. Business would say USP, but I'd say it's the story within the story.
And instead of looking back, now let's look forward. So let's fast forward to 5 years' time. What does Madlug look like then?
I get asked this all the time because it's like, oh, what products you bring in, what stuff do you do? The reality is, our 5 year plan is we want to be the leading UK bag brand for socially conscious consumers and corporates. And we sell to consumers on the online madlug.com. And when we also are selling to corporates. So some of the largest corporates around the world, UK banks, so forth, are choosing Madlug for onboarding, for gifting, and it's because they are socially conscious corporates who want to make a difference with their spend. And so for me, we've helped 116,000 kids over the 10 years at the minute. We that's a money value of about 1.2 million of value. And we've done that from a £500 startup amount with no investors. So a few wee smaller grants, but nothing of real kind of like secure investment. And um, and so for me, that's a lot of bags, a lot of kids. But the reality is that every single year in the UK and Ireland, there's over 50,000 moves. So every
Wow.
year, so we've done that over 10. Our aim in 5 years that we would see an end, that we would be the main bag provider to kids in care and also the most recognized bag brand in the UK to socially conscious. That's what we're trying to do.
And if somebody likes what they've heard and likes the story, and to be fair, it's one of the best stories I think I've ever heard from the founding of a business. If somebody wants to reach out and get in touch, or more importantly, buy a product and help somebody, what's the best way for them to go about that, Dave?
Yeah, the best way, it's simple, madlug.com. So it's really easy. It's a new word. So you remember Madlug and just put the .com at the end of it. And I say buy a bag, and every bag sold, a bag gets given to a child or young person in care for free, or pack away travel bag, and find out more there. And if you're a business leader and you have a team, and even team of 10, 12 people, you know, it's a great gift to give your team with their laptop, because it actually says they work for a company that cares as well. But also you can be part of the solution, and also this part of this solution of telling the world that care experience young people are incredible. The unseen group, we leave our door and we see people on our streets sleeping. We need to be helping all of these, but children, young people in care, and there's 107,000 across the UK in care. One moving into care every 15 minutes.
Wow.
Most of their belongings in bin bags. So if you want to be part of that solution and change the narrative for many of those young people, then you can get your business involved. And say we work from small right through. We would love to invite. I'd love to invite you, if you're a business leader, to come and be part of that story. And if you're a consumer and you're on business and you don't buy for your business, then come and be part of this story and fight it. This is not Dave. This is a movement of incredible heroes who are making a difference, because no child should carry their life in a bin bag.
Fantastic. Well, Dave Linton from Madlug, thanks very much for sharing your story and your journey. It's such a great cause, and I wish you every success for what we've got left of this year and indeed beyond. So, Dave, thanks very much indeed.
Very welcome. Thanks for having us on your podcast.